The class beauty said, "All the exam room cameras are broken, so you can bring your phone in and copy freely." In my past life, she slipped a spare phone into my pocket, and I ended up taking a fall for cheating before jumping into the river forever. I showed up to the exam in a dress with no pockets. Let's see how you frame me now. My dad's in charge of the exam site logistics, and he gave me a top-secret tip. Fun waning lowered her voice, her eyes brimming with barely contained excitement. All the surveillance cameras in this year's National College entrance exam venues were fake. Just empty shells with no actual signal. The classroom fell silent for half a second, then erupted instantly. For real? No way. The surveillance for the college entrance exam is so strict. How could anyone dare to cheat? Funing snorted coldly, pulled out her phone from her school uniform pocket, opened a photo, and held it up in the air. See for yourselves. This is the back of a surveillance camera on the exam hall ceiling. The cables aren't even connected. A few people quickly crowded around, staring at the photo on the screen. The photo was clear. Inside the plastic casing, it was completely empty with no ribbon cable in sight. My dad skipped the wiring to save on budget. Fun waning said, her chin slightly raised, voice firm. Relax. I'm taking the exam. 2. Why would I sabotage myself? A low cheer erupted from the crowd. Holy crap. Why bother memorizing anything then? Just sneak your phone in and look up the answers. I was already done studying. This is a godsend. Suha was the first to jump up, leaning on the desk with both hands, his face full of excitement. Sis Waning, you're a legend. How did you even get this insider info? From now on, you're my real sister. Fun Waning placed her index finger to her lips, making a shushing gesture. Keep it down, and keep it in the class. If anyone breathes a word of this, you'll have me to answer. 2. Her gaze swept slowly across the classroom, a look of smug satisfaction on her face at being the center of attention. If you don't take advantage of an opening when you can, you won't have a chance to do so later. Just follow my instructions. Everyone grab a spare phone. Snap the exam questions as soon as it starts. Search for answers, and we'll all get into top universities together. Someone swallowed hard, their voice still shaky. What if the metal detector goes off when I enter the exam? Hell. Funing rolled her eyes, her tone dripping with disdain. Are you guys out of your minds? Get those anti-security check mini phones. Hide them in your shoe saws or belt buckles. Detectors can't pick them up at all. She tapped the chalkboard and began sketching a diagram on it. I've already got it planned. Zhang Chong will find an internet cafe outside and use the computers to search for questions and send back the answers. Li Ming is in charge of setting up an encrypted temporary group where everyone will receive messages. Suha, you handle distributing the microphones to everyone. Anyone who wants to buy one can just transfer the money directly to me. We'll do a bulk purchase. Out of the class of 42, almost everyone's eyes were shining except mine. In my past life, I kindly tried to stop them, warning that getting caught cheating on the college entrance exam would ruin their lives forever. Instead of listening, they teamed up to isolate me, calling me a selfish person who can't stand seeing others do well. On the day of the exam, Fun Waning slipped a powered-on spare phone into my coat pocket when I wasn't looking. Her father wasn't some logistics manager at all, just a regular plumber. The surveillance cameras were working fine. She just bribed the temp worker to cut the feed for a few seconds when the whole class got caught for cheating. Fong Waning pinned the blame for organizing it all on me. I had no way to defend myself, was banned from taking exams for 5 years, and my parents were so furious they both fell ill. I stood on the bridge all night. Then in despair, I plunged into the river when I opened my eyes again. I was back on that afternoon when Fun Waning urged the whole class to cheat using their phones. I sat in the corner watching the absurd spectacle unfold with a cold, detached gaze since they're so eager to rush to their doom. I won't say another word for the rest of my life. Suha went around with a notebook, registering the names of everyone who wanted to buy a microphone. When he reached my desk, he tapped his pen on its surface. Xinyan, pay up 3,000 for a phone, and I guarantee you'll get into a top university. I didn't even look up, just kept working on the math test in front of me. All eyes in the room instantly snapped to me. Fun Waning pushed through the crowd, walked over, crossed her arms, and looked down at me. What's the matter? Does our top-ranked student look down on such a petty trick? Suhao chimed in from the side, his tone dripping with sarcasm. Oh, but she's the model student, burning the midnight oil with practice problems every night. Not like us slackers. After slaving away for 3 whole years, only to find out we exceed the test just by copying a bit, and still scored higher than her. She must be seething with jealousy. A few undisguised snickers rippled through the classroom. Suja tugged gently at my sleeve, her eyes reened, urging me in a hushed voice. Nyan, why don't you prepare one? 2. It would be so disappointing if everyone passes except you. I turned to look at that face, so familiar yet strangely foreign in my past life, when everyone was turning against me. This so-called best friend hid at the back of the crowd, and didn't even say a word to defend me. Now she's coming here pretending to be the good guy. I pulled my sleeve free from her grip, and calmly looked at Fong Weining. A sneer curled Fong wanting slips as she waved at Suhao. Don't give her a hard time. Shiny's always obedient. She wouldn't dare do something like this. No thanks. I'll study on my own, I said calmly, my voice quiet, but just loud enough for the people around us to hear. Fong Weining's smile froze for a second before she resumed her usual haughty expression. Suit yourself. Just don't come crying to us when the grades come out. Sua slammed his notebook down on the desk and pointed a finger right at my face. What's the matter? Xinyan. Scared. No one's forcing you to join. Just don't go snitching to the teacher. He glared at me with pure venom, as if I'd become some kind of class enemy. If you dare ruin this for everyone, I'll be the first to take you down. I met his gaze without a hint of backing down. Why would I report you? Your business is none of my concern. With that, I lowered my head again, my pen touching down on the exam paper as I returned to solving that solid geometry problem. The atmosphere in the classroom grew a little colder. Fong Weining patted Suhao's shoulder, signaling him to let it go. All right, fine. They want to get into Tsinghua or Ping University on their own merit. We slackers shouldn't crush the party. She deliberately emphasized the words on their own merit, drawing a round of snickers from those around them. After lunch break, the whole class completely shifted into a different mode. No one was paying attention in class anymore, and no one was doing any test papers either. Textbooks were shoved to the corner of the desks, replaced by all sorts of gadgets used to hide phones. Fong Weining even started a cheating workshop during self-study period. She stood at the podium, sleeves rolled up to her elbows, revealing the wrist guards underneath. Watch closely. Tuck the microphone into this hidden pocket. When your hands hang naturally, it's completely invisible. She demonstrated the move while explaining the key points. When the invigilator approaches, pretend to scratch an itch. Just pull your sleeve down to cover it. The audience below was thoroughly engaged, occasionally raising their hands to ask questions. Sijuaning, what should I do about the loud typing noise? Fong Weining fished a lump of modeling clay from under the podium and flung it onto the blackboard. Put a piece of clay under the button. Do I really have to teach you this? Can you use your brains for once? Sua led the applause, his face filled with admiration. Amazing. Sister Chu's move is just brilliant. Purely spy-level tactics. I was sitting in the second to last row, surrounded by the sound of them discussing how to hide phones in their shoe insoles, and Tapor's code on the desks. The blackboard reads 5 days until the gallo. In the entire classroom, I was the only one still quietly reciting ancient poetry to myself. Suja slipped over to my seat during the break, trying to be sneaky. She clutched 300 yuan in her hand, her eyes darting away. Nyan, I'm a bit short on cash for the microphone. Could you lend me some? She bit but her lower lip, looking utterly pitiful. I promise I'll pay you back right after the exams. My dad said if I don't get into a university this time, he'll send me to work on the assembly line. I put down my pen, my gaze falling coldly on her face. In my past life, she had come to borrow money from me in the same way, and I had given her all the living expenses I had saved up over half a year when things went south. She turned around and accused me of extorting that money from her as hush. Money? No, I replied without hesitation, and Suja was taken aback as if she hadn't expected me to refuse so bluntly. Ini, are we best friends? You won't even help me with this small favor. Her voice rose a notch, drawing the attention of several people nearby. Suha leaned in with a sarcastic, mocking tone. Sujia, why are you begging her? She's acting all high and mighty now. Doesn't want to stoop to our level. He pulled a few 100 yuan bills from his pocket and slapped them into Sujia's hand. I'll cover whatever's short. Don't bother reading people's expressions. Su Jiao looked at Su Ha with tearful gratitude, then turned to me with an expression of utter disappointment. Nian, you've really changed. You weren't this heartless before. Seeing her act all sweet and innocent, I couldn't help but feel a wave of disgust. No thanks. Mind your own business. I tossed out the words coldly, pulled my chair forward, and completely blocked them from view that evening. Back in my dorm room, I picked up my phone. The very first post in my social feed was from Fong Weining. A row of milk teas fills the photo with a KTV private room in the background. Caption: last-minute relaxation before the exam. Some people spend all day in the library, but you never know what they're really after. Working yourself to death isn't worth it if you don't have a well-connected dad. The likes and comments below are all from classmates. Follow Sister Yuaning, and you'll get your share of the feast. Waiting for a perfect score on the Gallo. See you at China or Ping University. Guys, I scrolled past this WeChat chat post with a blank expression, then shut down my phone, flipping open the final set of science mock exams. I took a deep breath. 3 days left until the gala of the classroom atmosphere had gone beyond fervent. It was downright frenzied. During morning reading, homeroom teacher Mr. Wang walked into the classroom carrying a stack of practice exams. He looked at the blank blackboard, and the students whispering below. His brow furrowed into a tight knot. Quiet everyone. The exam is about to start. Is this really the state you want to be in? Mr. Wang slammed the test papers onto the lectern, sending a cloud of chalk dust into the air. These last few days are crucial for filling in the gaps. Finish this practice test today, and I'll go over it with you this afternoon. A chorus of groans rose from the class. Mr. Wang, why bother with practice tests at this point? Even if we do them, they won't be on the actual exam. Sua had his feet propped up on the desk, looking utterly nonchalant. Mr. Wang's face turned livid with anger as he pointed a finger right at Suha's nose, scolding him with an attitude like that. How do you expect to get into university? You'll end up with nothing but thin air. Funing rose to her feet at a leisurely pace, still fiddling with the brand-new miniature phone in her hand. Don't worry about it, Mr. Wang. We have our own study plan. We'll make sure the whole class gets good grades this time. Her tone was dismissive, her eyes holding a trace of barely perceptible mockery. Yeah, teacher. Just sit back and wait for that outstanding educator bonus. Lemming chimed in from the back row, joining in the teasing. Mr. Wan looked at these stubborn students inside. The college entrance exam is a fiercely competitive battle with no shortcuts. Don't gamble with your future. Funing let out a sneer and shoved the review materials off the table onto the floor. Shortcuts are for those who already have resources. Teacher, times have changed with a clatter. The books scattered across the floor. Mr. Wang was trembling with rage, unable to utter a single word. He turned and stormed out of the classroom, slamming the door behind him. The classroom fell silent for a second, then erupted into tears. You're the best. Chew. You even managed to drive old Wing away. Now that no one's watching us, quickly double-check the password. Don't mess up the response later. I sat in the corner, bent down to pick up a few documents that had fallen at my feet, and brushed off the dust. Sua somehow wandered over to my desk without me noticing. He stomped right on the math paper I just picked up, leaving a dusty footprint. Well, look who's still studying. Mr. Straight, a student. You've practically worn that test paper smooth from all the handling. He leaned down, his malicious gaze sweeping over my face. Save your energy, no matter how well you do. Can you possibly score higher than us? Just copying the answers, staring at the shoe print on the test paper. I fought back the fury inside and spoke coldly. Move your foot. Instead of pulling his foot away, Suha pressed down hard twice, completely crushing the test paper underfoot. I'm not taking it. What are you going to do about it? Go tattle to the teacher. Laughter erupted all around as everyone watched me make a fool of myself. Fong Weining leaned against the window, still holding a glass of juice, and smiled as she looked over. Suha, Don't pick on the decent ones. Xinyan is counting on this exam to change her fate. She deliberately drew out her words, her tone dripping with pity and scorn. What a shame. Some people are just born with a wretched lot in life. No matter how hard they try, they'll never climb out of it. I didn't get angry, nor did I argue. I just quietly pulled out that trampled test paper, tore it in half, and threw it in the trash. Then I took out a new blank answer sheet and continued writing, seeing that I was ignoring him. Suha lost interest, spat on the ground, and walked away. What's with the high and mighty act? Just wait till the results come out and see how you cry. For the next few days, I became completely invisible in class. No one talks to me, and no one invites me to eat together. They were basking in the joy of an easy windfall the afternoon before the gao. Everyone went to the exam hall to check their seats. Fang Weining stood beneath the large tree outside the examination hall, handing out the final pieces of battle gear to each person. Remember to take a deep breath when you go through security, and try not to get nervous. She shoved the tiny phone into Sujia's hand and patted her on the back. Once we get past the security gate, the rest is covered by my dad's fake surveillance setup. I walked past them with my backpack, my gaze fixed straight ahead. Fang Weining watched my retreating back and suddenly raised her voice. When you see all of us getting into top universities, don't come crying to us asking to join in. I kept walking, but a cold smile curled at the corner of my lips. The first day of the National College entrance examination. The air was stifling, and cicadas were shrilling desperately from the trees. I stood at the entrance of the exam site and took a deep breath. I'm wearing a dress today. No pockets, no compartments, not even a belt. Her hair was pulled into a neat high ponytail, and she carried nothing but her admission ticket, ID card, and a clear pencil case. This is the ace up my sleeve for Fang Weining. The line was really long when entering the security checkpoint. Fang Weining was right behind me in line. She was wearing a loose hoodie today, her hands tucked in the pockets the whole time. Her expression held a hint of nervousness, but it was mostly excitement. Xinyan, you really went all out, showing up in a dress for the college entrance exam. She deliberately leaned in and slammed her shoulder into mine. I stumbled from the impact, and she reached up to study me by the waist. I felt her hands quickly fumble along both sides of my dress. Her expression froze the moment she realized the dress had no pockets. Your dress doesn't even have pockets, she blurted out. I turned my head and gave her a cold look. Didn't you know the exam rules suggest avoiding clothes with metal buttons or extra pockets? Funing gritted her teeth, a flicker of panic crossing her eyes before she quickly masked it. Don't try to act like a good student with me here. Just move forward. She gave me an impatient shove, then pulled her hand back into the hoodie pocket. Security checks are very strict with metal detectors, scanning you from head to toe. I was clean. The scanner didn't make a peep, and I passed through without a hitch as Fang Weining went through security. The scanner suddenly let out a sharp beep. The whole class held their breath. The invigilator frowned. What's in your pocket? Take it out. Fang Weining's face padded slightly, but she forced a calm demeanor as she pulled out a set of keys. Teacher, I accidentally brought my house keys. The proctor examined them briefly, then waved her in. I sat at my desk, my gaze sweeping the entire examination hall. From the corner of my eye, there are a dozen or so students from our class assigned to this examination room. As soon as the exam bell rang, the entire classroom fell silent, broken only by the soft scratching of pens on paper. I bent my head to read the question, my mind racing. The Chinese exam was moderately challenging, and I easily avoided the pitfalls in the reading comprehension section. I'd already stumbled into them in a past life. Midway through writing, I lifted my head slightly and stretched my sore neck. Just then, I noticed Suha making a move ahead and to the side. He pretended to bend down to pick up an eraser, quickly scraping something from under his shoe, then rolled his sleeve down to cover his wrist. His fingers were rapidly tapping underneath the table in a contorted position. Suja, not far away, was even more exaggerated, lying flat on the table, her hair covering her face, eyes glued to the crotch area. There was clearly a miniature screen she'd paid a pretty penny for hidden there. Two invigilators paced back and forth in the aisle midway through. Every time a teacher approached, they'd instantly sit up straight, pretending to scribble nonsense on their scratch paper. As soon as the teacher left, they reverted to their true colors. I watched these clowns perform, feeling utterly unmoved. They thought they'd covered their tracks perfectly, unaware that a surveillance camera above them was glowing with a faint red light. The first subject, Chinese, is finished. As soon as we stepped out of the exam hall, the class's temporary Wechathat group went wild. Li Ming posted in the group, "Holy, we're good." I snapped a pic of the essay prompt and copied down the answers perfectly. Suja. I was terrified. My heart nearly stopped when the invigilator walked past me. Lucky I wasn't caught. Suha sent a meme. "Sis Waning, you're a legend." The surveillance footage really was fake. I looked up and saw the camera wasn't even moving. Funing sent a voice message, her tone brimming with barely contained triumph. "See, I told you my dad's intel is 100% solid. Everyone go home and get some proper rest. Let's keep up this momentum for the math exam." This afternoon, I was walking home watching the celebratory messages flood the group chat. The sun was blinding, so I slipped my phone into my bag. Let's party, and party like there's no tomorrow. The higher you climb, the harder you fall. The third day after the college entrance exam ended, the atmosphere in the class group chat hasn't died down at all. If anything, it's only getting more intense. People post photos of various tourist destinations every day or screenshots of gaming all night at internet cafes. Funing sent a large red envelope in the group chat along with a message. "Just relax and wait for your results after the exam. Everyone, don't go around showing off. Keep a low profile. Once the acceptance letters arrive, I'll treat everyone to a victory banquet at the best hotel in town." Suho instantly snatched the red envelope and immediately followed up with flattery. "Thanks, Sister Chu. You're the best. From now on, just point me in the direction, and I'll charge." Suja also sent an emoji. "Thank goodness for wanting. I'd have been totally screwed without her. Love you." I watched the messages flashing on the screen with a cold stare, then casually muted the group notifications. The fifth day after the exams, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was at home sorting through my high school review materials, getting ready to sell them at the scrapyard. My phone's screen lit up suddenly. Someone in the group chat was frantically at ING everyone. Li Ming sent a link followed by 3 voice messages in a row, his voice trembling. "Check out this news. Quick! Holy, something's gone down." I clicked the link. The page redirected to the local education bureau's official announcement. The headline read in bold, "Investigation notice regarding multiple examinees suspected of using communication devices for cheating at XX test center." The body of the notice was brief, stating that during a post-exam video review, the test center discovered multiple examinees engaging in irregular conduct, and that the public security authorities have now launched an investigation that XX test center was precisely where most of our class had taken the exam. The group chat fell into a deathly silence for a full minute. No one said a word. Then Fun Waning's message pretending to stay calm popped up. "Don't panic. Everyone, that was about the neighboring test site. It has nothing to do with us. My dad says the surveillance at our exam hall is definitely broken." The moment she finished speaking, someone in the group chat suddenly posted a blurry photo. In the photo, 3 police cars were parked at the school entrance. "Stop the nonsense. Plainclothes officers are already at the school. They're questioning people," Zhang Chong shouted in the group. That same afternoon, 3 plainclothes police officers pushed open the door to the school's small conference room. Fong Weining had just organized a gathering for a dozen or so key class members at the milk tea shop across from the school when the teacher called and summoned them all back. I was at school to hand in my draft college preference form and happened to be passing by the meeting room. I stood in the shadows of the corridor watching as Fong Weining was called in first. In less than 10 minutes, she walked out of the meeting room. Her once rosy cheeks were now deathly pale, her legs trembling uncontrollably as she leaned against the wall for support. Suho hurried forward and grabbed her arm. "Sis Bunning, what did you say? What did the police ask you?" Fun Waning's lips trembled violently, her voice thick with tears. "They said there really are surveillance cameras in the exam hall." She jerked her head up, her gaze unfocused, tears welling up and spilling over. "We refrained from real-time monitoring during the exam to avoid affecting the test taker's focus, and instead reviewed the recordings in a consolidated manner. Afterward, the remark sent shock waves through the crowd. Suha abruptly let go, taking 2 steps back, his face a mask of disbelief. Didn't you say the surveillance footage was fake? And didn't you claim your father was in charge of logistics? Suja's legs gave way beneath her, and she crumpled to the floor, burying her face in her hands as she sobbed. It's over. Completely over. My dad's going to kill me. The group chat exploded with messages flying by at a rate of 10 per second. All 10 cameras are working perfectly. Damn it. Fun waning. You're going to get me killed. Give me my money back. Refund me for this phone. You scammer. Funing leaned against the wall, sobbing uncontrollably. What my dad told me was a lie. I had no idea he was deceiving me. Just then, Li Ming posted a screenshot in the group chat. That was the personnel file of Fong Weining's father he managed to obtain through connections. Your dad's just a temp plumber. What makes you think you got some inside info? Are you taking us for fools? Fong Weining completely broke down, crouching on the ground with her hands over her ears, letting out a desperate scream. I stood at the end of the corridor, watching this farce unfold. Results day. This should have been the most thrilling moment of high school. But now it hangs over the entire class like a guillotine. The score-checking portal opens, promptly at 8 a.m. The class group chat was eerily quiet. No one dared to be the first to speak. 10 minutes later, Ling sent a screenshot, breaking the silence on the report card. All subject scores are 0. At the very bottom, a line of red text reads, "This candidate is suspected of misconduct. Their results are invalid." Immediately, the group was instantly flooded with identical screenshots. I am obsolete. 2. I am doomed. My mom just saw my grades and passed out. Had to call 120. In a class of 42 students, 38 had grades flagged for suspected irregularities. The 4 remaining students who were too timid to bring their phones had their grades displayed normally, but the scores were abysmal. Even the highest one didn't reach the undergraduate admission threshold. They spent the entire 2 weeks before the exam memorizing the cheating methods Fong Weining taught them, and didn't study at all. I sat in front of the computer, calmly entering my admission ticket number and password. The page loaded for 2 seconds. Then my transcript popped up. Chinese 135, Math 148, English 142, Science Composite 226, total score 651 points. Ranked in the top 50 province-wide. Looking at these scores, I let out a long, deep sigh of relief. The countless late nights spent solving problems in the stacks of scratch paper filled with dense equations over the past 3 years have finally paid off. The phone suddenly started vibrating violently. It's a call from Suja. I pressed the answer button, and her voice came through the line, choked with sobs. Ning, I'm done for. My exam results have been invalidated. Her voice was trembling violently, and in the background, the crashing sound of things being thrown, and a man's furious shouts could be heard. My dad says he's going to break my legs. Ning, please help me. Go tell the police I didn't cheat. I just brought the notes in, but I didn't look at them. Listening to her absurd plea for help, I could only find it laughable. You didn't even check what you brought in. You think the surveillance footage wouldn't catch that? My tone was icy, but she stammered. You must get good grades. Right. Could you put in a good word for me? The teacher likes you best. I fell silent for 3 seconds, the image of her standing coldly behind the crowd in my past life flashing through my mind. You chose this path. Now see it through. With that, I hung up the phone and blocked her number. In the class group chat, Fong Weining suddenly tagged me at Chinyan. What did you get? As soon as she sent that message, the others in the chat who had been lamenting their scores fell silent. Suhao immediately chimed in, his tone dripping with a spiteful, nothing left to lose, venom. What kind of score could a bookworm like her get? A second-tier university at best. Maybe she got caught cheating, too, and is hiding somewhere, too ashamed to speak up. Exactly. She acts all high and mighty, but who knows? She probably had a phone on her the whole time. I looked at these malicious speculations on the screen and let out a cold sneer. I just took a screenshot of my transcript on the computer screen and sent it to the group chat. No extra words, just the picture. 651 points, top 50 in the province. The group chat instantly fell silent for a full 2 minutes. Not a single new message popped up. That score was a slap in the face to every single one of them. Fun Waning finally couldn't hold back any longer and typed out a line of text. Shiny, did you know all along that the surveillance was working? SUA followed closely behind. You knew all along. You deliberately kept it from us. You were just waiting to see us make fools of ourselves. Weren't you? Xinyan, you're so cruel. We're all classmates. How could you just stand by and watch us jump into this mess? Watching them shift their grief and stupidity onto me, I can't help but feel sorrow. My fingers tapped on the keyboard as I typed my final message in the group chat. You wouldn't let me participate. After sending that, I immediately clicked to leave the group. Leaving the group chat didn't calm the storm. It only served to infuriate Fong Waning completely. She knew that as the ringleader, the punishment she faced would be far more severe than just having her grades invalidated. According to the rules, those who organize serious cheating offenses face exam bans ranging from 3 to 5 years. Panicked, Fong Waning began lashing out at everyone. 2 days later, I received a call from the school's academic affairs office, summoning me to the investigation team's temporary office. Pushing the door open, I saw Fong Waning sitting on the sofa, crying her heart out. Suhao stood beside her. Though his face was deathly pale, the look he gave me was still full of hostility. 2 uniformed investigators sat behind the desk, their expressions grave. So, Inyan, is that right? Have a seat. The older investigator gestured to the chair opposite. I walked over and sat down, my back ramrod straight. When Fun Waning saw me enter, her sobs suddenly grew louder. Comrades, you must get to the bottom of this. Shiny forced us into it. She pointed at me, her finger trembling. It's her. She was the one finding the answers outside and sending them to us. She's the mastermind. SUA immediately chimed in. That's right. Xinyan gets good grades. She said she had access to an internal question bank and forced each of us to pay 3,000 yuan for her answers. He glared at me, his teeth clenched in fury. She threatened to report us if we didn't pay up. We only brought the phone in because she left us no choice. I listened quietly to their stream of lies, feeling not a shred of anger, only profound contempt. In my past life, Fun Waning had used the same pathetic lies along with the phone she planted in my pocket to pin the blame squarely on me. In this lifetime, she doesn't even have physical evidence, yet she still dares to pull the same trick again. The older investigator looked at me, his brows slightly furrowed. Shiny, what is your response to the accusations made by Fong Waning? And Suho? Fong Waning stopped crying, her gaze fixed intently on me as a flicker of satisfaction flashed in her eyes. She probably thought that with their numbers and insistence, I wouldn't be able to talk my way out of it, even if I had 100 mouths. I met the investigator's gaze, my tone calm. I don't explain. I only look at the evidence. I unzipped my backpack, took out the 3 items I had prepared in advance, and arranged them neatly on the desk. The first item is a USB drive. This is the complete surveillance footage from my examination room, which I requested my homeroom teacher to apply for and retrieve. I pointed at the USB drive, my voice clear and firm. The footage proves that on the day of the exam, I was wearing a dress without any pockets. From entering the examination room to handing in my paper, my hands remained on the desk the entire time. There were no extraneous movements, and I certainly never handled any communication devices. Fun Waning's face instantly palled, as if she had just remembered the incident before the exam where she touched my skirt at the school gate. I didn't give her a moment to catch her breath, producing the second piece of evidence, a thick stack of A4 printouts. These are complete screenshots of the class's temporary group chat. They clearly document how Fun Waning spread false information, organized the tasks, and how Suho is responsible for collecting the fees for the miniature phones. I slid the printouts across the table to the investigator. Every single transfer record, every transcript discussing the details of the cheating scheme. It's all laid out clearly right here. SUA's legs gave way, and he slumped back against the sofa. Finally, I took out my phone and tapped on an audio file. This is a recording of Fong Waning encouraging everyone to cheat in class 1 week before the exam. I hit the play button. Fun Waning's arrogant voice echoed clearly through the quiet office. Don't be hard on her. Shiny is the most obedient one. She wouldn't dare do such a thing. The recording has finished playing. An awkward silence fell over the office. Every word in the recording left Fong Waning and SUA speechless. The senior investigator's face turned ashen as he slammed his hand on the table. Outrageous. This is sheer lawlessness. His sharp gaze swept toward Fong Waning. Fun Waning, what do you have to say for yourself? First, you orchestrated cheating. Then, you made false statements and tried to pin the blame on others. Do you truly treat the law as a joke? Fun Waning slumped lifelessly onto the sofa, her face pale and wan. She opened her mouth as if to argue further, but only nonsensical sounds came out. SUA was so terrified that his entire body trembled, and he suddenly dropped to his knees with a heavy thud. Comrade, I was wrong. I was tricked by Fong Waning. She's the one who said her dad had inside information. That's why I dared to do it. All the money is with her. He pointed at Fong Waning, shifting the blame. I never forced Shiny. It was Fong Waning who told me to say this. Hearing Suha's betrayal, Fong Waning suddenly lunged at him like a mad woman, scratching and clawing. You son of a Suha! Why didn't you say you were scammed when you bought the phone? Now that something's gone wrong, you're dumping it all on me. The two men were locked in a messy, undignified brawl in the middle of the office. Two investigators quickly stepped in and forcibly pulled them apart. Enough! This is the investigation unit, not a street market. The young investigator produced a pair of handcuffs, his face cold as he stared them down. Given that you're not only suspected of serious cheating, but also of fabricating evidence and falsely accusing others, the circumstances are extremely severe. You will now accompany us back to the station for further investigation. The moment Fong Waning was handcuffed, she finally realized she was completely finished. She whirled around, her hair wild, locking eyes with me in a glare filled with venom. Shunyan, you had all this evidence ready from the start, didn't you? You've just been sitting back and laughing at us. I rose to my feet, looking down at her with not a trace of pity in my eyes. I gave you a chance. You're the ones who burned every bridge. I gathered my things from the table and gave a slight bow to the two investigators. Comrades, if there's nothing else, I'll be heading back now. I still need to prepare my university application forms. The older investigator looked at me, his expression softening considerably, even taking on a hint of approval. Go ahead, young lady. The innocent will always be cleared. We've verified your results. They're completely genuine and valid. Wishing you a bright future ahead. Stepping out of the office building, the sunlight outside was still glaring. I took a deep breath of the sweltering air, feeling as if the great stone that had been crushing my chest had finally shattered to pieces. In the days that followed, the situation escalated at a pace no one could have anticipated. The final decision was promptly circulated within the city's education system. All 38 involved students had their gallows scores invalidated, their personal integrity records updated, and were banned from taking the exam for 3 years. Fun Waning, as the mastermind behind organizing cheating and making false statements during the investigation while attempting to frame others, committed particularly serious offenses. She received the maximum penalty and was banned from taking exams for 5 years. Not only that, but her father, who worked as a temporary plumber/electrician, also lost his job for good. The examination center not only fired him, but also cooperated with the public security authorities to investigate him for allegedly leaking the internal layout of a test site that once domineering. An adored Sister Chu from the class became a public enemy overnight. The aftermath of the storm was far more devastating than anyone had imagined. The day after the decision was announced, a conflict erupted right at the school gates. The parents who had paid 3,000 yuan for the miniature phones, and the lead dancers banded together and stormed Fong Waning's home. Fong Waning had already blown through more than half of that 100,000 yuan, splurging on designer handbags and lavish dinners, unable to get their money back. The furious parents smashed the Fong family's doors and windows to pieces. Her father, already seething from losing his job, saw the wrecked house, grabbed his belt, and chased Fong Waning around the yard, beating her Her screams could be heard 2 blocks away. Sua didn't fare any better. When his parents found out their son's results were voided, and he was banned from exams for 3 years, they were so furious, they stormed straight to the school's academic affairs office to make a scene. My son is usually so well behaved. It's all that little Fong Weining's fault for leading him astray. Suha's mother threw herself on the floor kicking and screaming. The school has to give us an explanation. On what grounds are they denying my son a university education? In the end, the school called the police, and it took the combined efforts of security and the officers to finally eject these unreasonable parents. Sua stood outside the school gates, head bowed as he looked at the crowd of onlookers, pointing and whispering, all traces of the arrogance he'd shown when he trampled on my test. Papers gone. As for Suja, she came to see me once. It was the evening before the college application deadline, and I had just returned home from grocery shopping. She stood downstairs from my apartment, her body gaunt, and her eyes swollen nearly shut. Seeing me approach, she fidgeted with her hands, tears falling in steady drops. "Nyan," she began, her voice terribly horsero. I stopped in my tracks and stared at her coldly. "Can I help you with something?" She bit her lips, so hard it nearly bled. "My dad, he kicked me out. He said he doesn't have a daughter who brings him shame." She stepped forward, reaching for my hand. "Nyan, I truly know I was wrong. If only I had listened to you back then. Even if it meant just getting into a vocational college, I wouldn't be in this situation now." She was crying so hard she couldn't catch her breath. Could you lend me some money? I don't even have enough for food." I avoided her hand, my gaze calm and cold. "I believe I told you before. You chose this path, so you'll have to see it through. In my past life, when she watched me being driven into a corner, she wouldn't even speak a single word in my defense. She has no one to blame but herself for ending up like this. But we're best friends." She cried out in despair. That was before I cut in, my voice flat and devoid of inflection. "The moment you chose to side with Fong Weining, and isolating me, and laughing at me, our relationship ended." I walked past her and headed straight for the stairwell. Suji stood frozen in place, staring at my retreating figure, then suddenly clapped her hands over her face and let out a heart-wrenching wail. "I don't blame you. It was my own foolishness. My own foolishness. I didn't look back. Some mistakes come with a price that must be paid. No one is obligated to wait around for her moment of clarity." By mid-August, the delivery of acceptance letters had reached its peak. The postal courier pulled up on his motorcycle right outside my building. "Xinyan, you've got a registered letter. Bring your ID down to sign for it." The courier's booming voice echoed throughout the entire residential complex. My mom was in the kitchen chopping vegetables. Hearing the shout, she rushed out, still wearing her apron, and clutching a spatula. "They're here. Nin. Quick, grab your ID card." My dad had been fixing a radio on the balcony, but now not even caring about his greasy hands. He excitedly followed us downstairs. My hands trembled slightly as I took the envelope bearing the university's emblem from the courier. I opened the envelope, and the gilded admission letter shimmered brilliantly in the sunlight. "Excellent. Splendid." My father stared at the words on the notification letter, his eyes instantly welling up. His rough fingers traced over the paper again and again, unwilling to let it go. My mom was grinning from ear to ear, tears welling up in her eyes. Our Nian Yen has really made something of herself. She's truly brought pride to her parents. A few familiar neighbor ladies from the neighborhood gathered around to see what the fuss was about. "Hey, old Chin, your daughter got into Tsinghua or Peking University. That's the first one in our neighborhood. She's been diligent and hardworking since she was a child. I always said she'd go far in life." My mom cheerfully struck up a conversation with them. "Oh, it's all the child's own hard work. Come over for dinner tonight. I'll cook up a feast to celebrate." Listening to the neighbors' praise and my parents' hearty laughter, I stood to the side, a smile tugging irresistibly at the corners of my mouth. In that moment, the shadows of despair, suffocation, and public condemnation for my past life were finally and completely dispelled. That evening, the family gathered around a table laden with a sumptuous feast. My dad even made an exception and opened a bottle of Baiyu. "Come on, Ningyan, Let me toast to you when you go to the big city. Make sure to learn your skills well. I raised my drink and clinked glasses with them. Mom, Dad, don't worry. I'll make sure you have a comfortable life from now on. Early September arrived, bringing with it the start of the university term. I folded a few changes of clothes and packed them into my suitcase at the very bottom of the closet. I saw the dress with no pockets. It lay there quietly. I reached out and felt the soft fabric, then pulled it out and tossed it along with all the draft papers from 3 years of high school into the trash bag. Everything from the past, whether it was humiliation or retaliation, was over. I wouldn't be needing any of this anymore. Zipping up the suitcase, I slung my backpack over my shoulders and walked out the door. The weather is exceptionally fine today, with a brilliantly blue sky and not a single cloud in sight. Sunlight streamed through the hallway window, warm and inviting. My mom stood at the door, still holding the fruit she had packed for my journey in Yin. Be careful on your way. Give us a call when you get to school. I turned around, looked at the new streaks of white in my parents' hair, gave a firm nod, and broke into a radiant smile. Got it. You two head back now. Dragging my suitcase, I turned and walked onto the sun-drenched street. I strode forward and never looked back. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. Will you sign the divorce papers or not? Shin Hungan placed the divorce agreement coldly on the table. It's just for show to my mother. Don't overthink it. I looked at the man in military uniform in front of me, recalling how foolishly I had begged him not to divorce me in my previous life, only to be kicked out in the end. This life. I picked up the pen and signed my name swiftly. All right, I'll sign. Shin Hangshan was stunned. You. Is there anything else? If not, I'm leaving. I grabbed my bag and headed out. A chair fell over behind me this time. I will never be that humble military wife again. In the winter of 1979, amidst the swirling snow in the military compound, I sat across from Shin Hangshan, staring at his expressionless face. Su Guan, let's get a divorce. I had heard this sentence before, countless times in my dreams on this day in my previous life. I cried my heart out, clinging to his legs, begging him not to leave me. As a result, he said it was just an act for his mother's sake, asking me to play along, and that we would remarry after she passed away. I believed it. Then I waited for him for 3 years in that dilapidated bungalow, only to receive his marriage certificate with his childhood sweetheart. And white moonlight. Why do you want a divorce? I asked calmly without the panic and tears of my previous life. Shin Hangshan looked at me with some surprise. My mother is seriously ill, and she doesn't like you. I want to let her pass away in peace. So you want a divorce from me? It's just temporary. We'll remarry after my mother passes away. His tone carried an air of entitlement, as if I should be grateful for the opportunity he was giving me. I quietly looked at him, this man who had consumed my love to the core in my previous life. Standing at 6 feet tall with sharp eyebrows and bright eyes, he looked dashing and upright in his military uniform. At 28, he was already a battalion commander with an unlimited future ahead. In my previous life, I felt incredibly fortunate to have married such an outstanding man. But now, I just find it laughable. What if I don't agree? I asked. Shin Hangshan frowned. Su Guan, don't be unreasonable. This is just a temporary solution that benefits all of us. What benefit is there for me? After my mother passes away, I will make it up to you. And he paused. If my mother finds out we're divorced, she might leave her old house to me. When we remarry, that house will be ours. I almost burst out laughing. In my previous life, I was deceived by these words. As a result, after my mother-in-law passed away, the house was indeed left to Shan Hangshan. But by then, I had already been kicked out, and the house had nothing to do with me. What if I insist on not getting a divorce? I continued to ask. Shanhen Zan's face turned completely cold. Su Wan, don't force me to say harsh words. We've been married for 3 years, and you know very well how I've treated you now. All I'm asking is for you to cooperate, and you're so unwilling. How does he treat me? On our wedding night, he moved to the study, saying he wanted to focus on work and not be disturbed. For 3 years, we lived like roommates, nothing more than a nominal couple. He never touched me, rarely even holding hands. I was a free nanny and a figurehead wife for 3 years, and in the end, I wasn't even considered a real wife. Are you threatening me? I looked at him. I'm not threatening you. I just hope you can understand my difficulties. Shinhang Shan stood up, looking down at me. For a girl from the countryside like you to marry into the Shin family is already a blessing from your ancestors. Not just a temporary compromise. What's the big deal? A girl from the countryside? Those words felt like a sharp thorn, deeply piercing my heart. In my previous life, I worked tirelessly to integrate into the Shin family, learning how city people spoke, how to dress, and groom, and various etiquette rules. But in the end, in their eyes, I was always just the unworthy country girl. I took a deep breath and slowly stood up. Shinhang Shan, where is the divorce agreement? He paused for a moment, then pulled out the divorce agreement he had prepared long ago from the drawer of the desk. I skimmed through it in a glance, just as it had been in my previous life. The house was his, the savings were his, and I was left with nothing. The only thing he gave me was a living allowance of 50 yuan. Any other requests? I asked. Shinhang's clearly hadn't expected me to agree so readily, and seemed a bit flustered. You really agree? Didn't you say this is just an act? Then I'll play along. I picked up the pen. But I have a condition. What condition? From today onwards, we are strangers. You don't come looking for me, and I won't take the initiative to contact you. Come find me for a remarriage after your mother passes away. Shinhang Shan nodded. This is the best to avoid raising my mother's suspicions. I signed my name on the divorce agreement, each stroke written neatly. Shinhang Shan watched me sign, a complex emotion flashing in his eyes. But it quickly disappeared. Zuan, are you sure you won't regret it? He asked. I put down my pen and looked at him. I have never been more certain about anything in my life. After signing, I stood up and walked straight out. Where are you going? Shinhang Shan asked from behind. This is none of your concern. I didn't even turn my head. Comrade, Shen, we are already divorced. Please respect yourself. Stepping out of the Shin family's gate, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief. Outside, snowflakes were falling, and the north wind was biting, but my heart felt warm. In my previous life, I was too foolish, wasting my best years on a man who didn't love me. This life, I will live for myself. After leaving the Shin family, I went straight to the train station. In my previous life, after the divorce, I rented a dilapidated bungalow nearby and waited for Shinhang Shan for 3 years. Those 3 years were the darkest period of my life. With no job, no friends, and barely enough to eat. This time I will not repeat the same mistakes. I want to return to the capital to find my good friend Lin Xiaoyu. In my previous life, because I married Shinheng Shan, I lost contact with Xiaoyu. Later, I heard that she had made a name for herself in the capital, opened a clothing factory, and became one of the first to get rich. Lin Xiaoyu and I were high school classmates, and she is the person I trust most in this world. The only train tickets left were hard seats, so I bought one and boarded the train. The carriage was crowded, the air thick, but I felt an unprecedented sense of joy. Comrade, this seat is mine, a middle-aged man said, pointing to the seat I was occupying. I checked my ticket and realized I had indeed sat in the wrong place. I'm sorry, I said, standing up to make way. The middle-aged man gave me a thorough once-over. Little girl traveling alone. Where are you going? To the capital, I replied briefly. I'm going to the capital, too. The man grinned, revealing a mouthful of yellow teeth. Should I take care of you? I frowned and ignored him. Find my seat and sit down. I closed my eyes to rest. Little girl, don't ignore people. The middle-aged man actually comes over again. Look at you. So pretty. It's dangerous to be out alone. How about Uncle protects you? He starts to squeeze towards me. I open my eyes and coldly look at him. Get lost. Oh, quite spirited, aren't we? The man not only didn't leave, but became even more brazen. Little girl, don't push your luck. At that moment, a young man stood up. Comrade, please keep your distance from this young lady. The speaker was a young man in his mid-ends, dressed in a Jahong Shan suit, wearing glasses, and appeared refined. and polite. What's it to you? The middle-aged man said discontentedly. She's my sister. Of course. It's my business. The young man walked over. Sister, come sit over here. I gave him a grateful look and got up to follow him. The middle-aged man muttered curses as he returned to his seat. Thank you, I said to the young man. You're welcome. It's the least I could do. He smiled. My name is Zhang Hao. I'm a graduate student at Jingxing University. My name is Su Wanwan. Thank you for helping me earlier. It was nothing. Zhang Hao seemed very kind. What brings you to Jing? I thought for a moment. I'll rely on friends. That's good. There are many opportunities in the capital. Now, you should be able to find a suitable job. We chatted the whole way. Zhang Hao is an interesting person. Well-read and eloquent. He told me a lot about the changes in the capital and how reform and opening up had brought many opportunities for young people. Now the country encourages individual entrepreneurship, and many people have started their own businesses. Jin Hao said, as long as you're willing to work hard and use your mind, you can make a name for yourself. I felt a spark of determination. In my previous life, I had been too reliant on men. This time I would rely on myself. What kind of business do you think would be good to start? I asked. The clothing business is promising with people's living standards improving. They have higher expectations for fashion. Jin Hao thought for a moment. And the food industry is always a safe bet. People prioritize their meals above all else. I silently noted down these suggestions. The train traveled overnight, and we arrived in the capital city. The next morning, Hao had to report to his school. So, we said our goodbyes at the station. So Guan, if you encounter any difficulties in the capital, you can come to Capital University to find me. Zhang Hao handed me a piece of paper. This is my contact information. Thank you, Zhang Hao. I accepted the paper. Watching Zhang Hao's retreating figure, I felt an indescribable emotion. If I hadn't married Shan in my previous life, what would things be like now? Perhaps I would have met someone who truly loved me, and maybe we would have struggled together in the capital, witnessing the city's rapid changes. But thinking about this now is meaningless. I took out Lin Xiao's address and prepared to go find her. I hope that after 3 years apart, our friendship still remains. Lin Xiaoyu lives in a Sahuan in the Dongqing district of the capital. Although it's not the most bustling area, it's still a pretty good location. I knocked on the courtyard gate. Who is it? A familiar voice came from inside. Xiaoyu. It's me, Suguan. The door opened, and Lin Xiaoyu poked her head out, stunned to see me. Why are you here? 3 years had passed, and Lin Xiaoyu had changed a lot. She wore a brand new woolen coat, her hair styled in fashionable large waves, and her face lightly made up, giving her an energetic and vibrant appearance. I'm in Beijing now, I said simply. Come in quickly. Lin Xiaoyu hurriedly pulled me into the courtyard. Why did you suddenly come? What about Xinhang Zhen? Mentioning that name still caused a sharp pain in my heart. We're divorced. Lin Xiao's hand froze in midair. What? What did you say? I divorced Xinhang Zhen. I repeated. How could that be? Aren't you doing fine? Lin Xiaoyu pulled me down to sit. What exactly happened? Tell me quickly. I briefly recounted the events. Of course, without mentioning the matter of reincarnation. He said it was a fake divorce, asking me to act along to show his mother. He promised to remarry after his mother passed away. Lin Xiaoyu, after hearing this, was so angry that she slammed the table. What a scoundrel! How can there be such a thing? I agreed. I said you agreed. Lin Xiaoyu widened her eyes. Wan, you're being foolish. A fake divorce is still a divorce. What if he changes his mind? I let out a bitter laugh. That's why I came to you. Xiaoyu, I don't want to live like a dependent anymore. I want to stand on my own. Can you help me? Lin Xiaoyu gripped my hand tightly. Of course. We're best friends. How could I not help you when you're in trouble? She stood up and paced back and forth in the room. You can stay here with me for now, and we'll take our time looking for a job. There are plenty of opportunities in the capital with your abilities. You're sure to find something suitable. I want to start my own business, I said. Lin Xiaoyu stopped walking. Start a business? Do you have the capital? I shook my head. No, but I can save up slowly. What kind of business? Clothing. Irakayad na suggestion. Now that people's living standards have improved, they have higher demands for clothing and appearance. Lin Xiaoyu's eyes lit up. That's a great idea. Actually, I've been considering starting a clothing business, too. Really? Really? Lin Xiaoyu said excitedly. I'm now working at a foreign trade company and have met many merchants from Hong Kong and Taiwan. They say that many people in the South are doing clothing exports, and they make money very quickly. I was intrigued. Could we do it together? Of course. We can. Lin Xiaoyu clapped her hands. I have some funds. You have ideas. And we can just collaborate. We decided to act immediately. Lin Xiaoyu quickly took out paper and penned a plan with me. First, we need to decide what kind of clothing to make. Lin Xiaoyu said, should we focus on export trade or domestic sales? Let's go with domestic sales. I thought for a moment. Export requires too much capital and involves greater risks. Domestic sales may have smaller profits, but it's more stable. That makes sense. Lin Xiaoyu nodded. So, what kind of clothes should we make? I recalled the fashion trends of the future. Let's focus on young women's clothing with trendy designs. And not too high prices. Great idea. Linnea became more and more excited as she spoke. Young women today are indeed willing to spend money on beautiful clothes. We talked late into the night, outlining the general framework of the business. Lin Xiaoyu had savings of 20,000 yuan, which was a considerable amount in 1979. Although I didn't have any capital, I had the experience from my previous life and foresight into the future. Wan. To be honest, I've always wanted to start my own business, but I always felt unsure doing it alone, said Lin Xiaoyu. Now that you're with me, I feel much more at ease. Me, too. I held her hand. Xiaoyu, thank you for believing in me. We're best friends. What's with the thanks? Lin Xiaoyu smiled. Tomorrow we'll go to the market to take a look and get a feel for the situation. Lying in the room that Linneo had tidied up for me, I looked at the moon outside the window. My emotions in turmoil in my previous life. I had placed all my hopes on Xinheng Shan, but in the end, I gained nothing. This life, I will create my own future with my own hands. Xinheng Shan, just you wait. One day, you will regret the decision you made today. Early the next morning, Lin Xiaoyu dragged me to the largest clothing wholesale market in the capital. The place was bustling with people, and all kinds of clothing were on display. However, I noticed that most of it was outdated workwear or Sun-Atsun suits with very few fashionable options. Look, this is the opportunity. Lin Xiaoyu pointed to the monotonous clothing and said, the market is lacking truly fashionable women's wear. After walking around, we had a better understanding. I think we should start with simple styles. I said too. Lin Xiaoyu liked dresses which are simple in design but can be worked on in terms of color and details. Great idea. Lin Xiaoyu nodded. Then let's go find a tailor to take a look. After asking around the market, we found an old tailor named Master Wang. Master Wang was in his 50s and had excellent craftsmanship. He had previously made uniforms for some government agencies. What kind of clothes are you looking to make? Master Wang asked. I took out the design drafts I had prepared in advance. Master Wang, could you take a look and see if these styles can be made? Mr. Wang took the design draft, examined it carefully, and his eyes grew brighter. These designs are quite innovative, he said, especially this waist-hugging dress. It really accentuates the figure. Do you think there would be a market for them? Lin Xiao asked. Definitely, Mr. Wang affirmed. Young ladies nowadays all want to dress beautifully, but there are too few good-looking clothes in the market. We discussed the price with Master Wang, and he agreed to charge by the piece with 5 yuan for making one dress. Let's start with 10 to test the market response. I said, all right, you prepare the fabric, and I can have them done in 3 days. Master Wang said after leaving Master Wang. We went to the fabric market here. I saw a variety of fabrics, including cotton, silk, synthetic fibers, and more. What kind of fabric should we choose? Lin Xiaoyu asked. Recalling my previous life experience, I said, let's go with synthetic fibers. They have bright colors, don't wrinkle easily, and are not expensive. We selected several vibrant synthetic fabrics in bright colors: red, blue, and yellow. Won't these colors be too vivid? Linnea expressed some concern. No, they won't, I assured her confidently. Nowadays, everyone wears black, white, and gray. Seeing such vibrant colors suddenly will definitely catch people's eyes. After purchasing the fabrics, we handed over the design drafts and fabrics to Master Wang. Come back in 3 days to pick up the goods, Master Wang said. During these 3 days, we didn't idle around. We started preparing for the sales. Where should we sell? Lin Xiaoyu asked. Let's rent a stall at the wholesale market first to try it out. I said if the sales are good, we can consider opening a store. We rented a small stall in the wholesale market for 50 yuan a month. It wasn't cheap, but the location was good with a lot of foot traffic. 3 days later, Master Wang's clothes were ready. 10 dresses, each exquisitely made with new styles and vibrant colors. So beautiful. Lin Xiaoyu picked up a red dress, unable to take her eyes off it. I want to buy one for myself, then keep one for yourself, I said with a smile. We'll sell the other 9. We moved the clothes to our stall and started our first day of business. At first, no one paid much attention, and Xiaoyu and I were a bit nervous. But soon someone was attracted by our clothes. This dress is so pretty. A young girl pointed at the red dress and said, How much is it? I quickly calculated the cost in my mind. 35 yuan. That's expensive. The girl hesitated. Mississippi, you should try it, I said. This is the latest style, and you definitely won't find another one like it in the market. The girl was persuaded by me and went into the fitting room to try it on. After coming out, she turned around in front of the mirror, her eyes filled with delight. It looks amazing. I'll take it. The first deal is done with the first customer. Things went much smoother afterward. By the end of the day, we had sold 6 pieces of clothing and made nearly 100 yuan. Guan Guan, we did it. Lin Xiaoyu jumped with excitement. We really did it. I was also excited, but more than that, I felt a sense of solidity. This was the first sum of money I earned with my own hands, and it was of great significance. Business was getting better, and by the end of the month, we had made nearly 2,000 yuan. This was quite a substantial income in 1979, considering that a worker's monthly salary was only around 30 or 40 yuan at the time. Should we consider expanding our scale? Lin Xiaoyu said excitedly. I nodded. We could consider opening a small shop which would be more formal. Just as we were busy with our entrepreneurial efforts, Shan Hangzhen suddenly appeared. That day, I was selling clothes at my stall when I suddenly heard someone call my name. Su Guandian. I looked up and saw Shan Henshan standing in front of the stall. His face filled with disbelief as he looked at me. He was still wearing that military uniform, still as handsome and upright as ever, but in my eyes, he no longer held any appeal. Why are you here? He asked. Doing business, I replied indifferently, continuing to fold my clothes. Doing business? Xinhang Shan frowned. Su Wanwan, as a woman, why are you out in the open doing business? What does it have to do with you? I looked at him. Comrade Shun, we are already divorced, and I have the freedom to do whatever I want. Xinhang Shan's face looked a bit unpleasant. Don't forget, we only got a fake divorce. Fake divorce is still divorce. I continue to sort out my clothes. Legally, we are now no longer related. At that moment, a young woman walked over, holding Shan Hangshan's arm. Hong-san, who are you talking to? I recognized this woman. She was Shin Hangzhen's childhood friend and his longtime crush, Lin Xia. In my previous life, Shan Henshan married her. Lin Xia was very beautiful with fair skin, delicate features, and wearing an imported wool coat. She looked noble and elegant. Xia, this is Shan Henshan was a bit awkward, not knowing how to introduce me. Hello, I'm Lin Xia. She extended her hand proactively. And you are Su Wan. I shook her hand. Ex-wife of Shan Henshan. Lin Xia's expression changed slightly, but she quickly regained her elegant smile. So, it's Wan, sister. I've heard a lot about you. I wouldn't dare, I replied coldly. Shin Hangzhen's expression grew increasingly grim. Su Guanguan, can't you speak properly? I think I'm speaking quite well, I said. looking at the two of them. Is there anything else? If not, I need to get back to business. Han, let's go. Lin Xia tugged at Xinhang Shan's sleeve. Don't disturb her business here. Xinhang Shan gave me a deep look. Su Guan, you've changed. Is that so? I smiled. Then thank you. It's you who taught me to be independent. Watching their retreating figures, I felt a mixture of emotions. In my previous life, seeing the scene would have made me cry my heart out. But this time, I only felt a sense of relief. Wan, who was that man just now? Lin Xiaoyu came back from outside, and seeing my bad complexion, asked with concern. Xinhang Zhen. I said simply, how dare he show his face here again? Lin Xiaoyu said angrily, and he even brought a woman with him. That's too much. It's okay. I shook my head. Whatever they do now has nothing to do with me. But the matter did not end there. The next day, Xinhang Zhen's mother suddenly appeared in front of my stall. Shun's mother is in her 60s with graying hair and a sallow complexion, looking indeed as if she is in poor health. Su Guan. She called my name. Annie Shun. I stood up. Why are you here? I came to see how you're doing. Shun's mother looked me up and down. You seem to be doing well. I didn't speak, waiting for her to continue. Hungan told me you're doing business here, so I came to take a look. Shin's mother pointed at my clothes. Did you make all these? Yes. Well done. Aunt Sha nodded, then changed the subject. But Wan, it's not very proper for a woman to be out in the business world, making a name for herself. I sneered inwardly. Of course, they all speak the same way. Ed Shen, I earn my money with my own hands. There's nothing improper about that. I know you're a good child, and I understand you're upset right now. Mrs. Shin's tone softened a bit, but Wan Hungan did this out of necessity. He's doing all this for me. I know, I said. Then don't blame him. Mrs. Shun held my hand. I won't live much longer with this illness. After I'm gone, you two should remarry and live a good life together. I pulled my hand back. Auntie Shun, you should be saying these things to Xinhang Shan, not to me. What do you mean? Wan Shin's mother's expression changed. What I mean is that I have divorced Xinhang Shan, whether it's true or not. Legally, we are no longer related. I said calmly, so please don't come looking for me. If you have anything to say, talk to your son. Shin's mother turned pale with anger at my words. Su Wan, how can you speak to me like this? I am your mother-in-law. Aunt Shen, you're mistaken. I corrected her. You are Xinhang Shan's mother, not my mother-in-law. We are divorced. Shin's mother was trembling with anger, unable to speak as she pointed at me. Finally, she said through gritted teeth, Wan, don't push it too far. Do you really think you can make something of yourself by leaving the Shin family? What great things do you think you, a mere country girl, can accomplish? We'll have to wait and see. I replied coldly. Shun's mother stormed off, but I knew this wasn't the end of it, as expected. The next day, officials from the Bureau of Industry and Commerce came to inspect our stall. Do you have a business license? Asked a middle-aged man holding a work ID. A business license. Lin Xiaoyu and I exchanged glances. What procedures are required? Of course, there are procedures, the middle-aged man said sternly. Now, all individual businesses must obtain a business license. Otherwise, it's a legal operation. Let's go take care of it, Lin Xiaoyu said. It's already late now. You should pack up your stall first and come back to operate after you've sorted out the paperwork. I know for sure that this must be the Shin family's doing, but I can't panic. The more this kind of situation arises, the calmer I must remain. All right, we'll pack up right away. I said to the industrial and commercial personnel what procedures are needed to apply for a business license. The middle-aged man told us the process for obtaining the license, and we took notes. After packing up the stall, Lin Xiaoyu and I returned home. Wan, I think there's something fishy about this, Lin Xiaoyu said. We've been setting up our stall here for over a month. Why do they suddenly come to inspect us? Someone must have reported us. I calmly analyzed. And the person who reported us should know us. You mean Shin and Shan? Very likely. I nodded. But it doesn't matter. We'll just follow the proper procedures to get the license. The next day, we went to the Administration for Industry and Commerce to apply for a business license. However, the process of obtaining the documents was not smooth. The staff said our application materials were incomplete and needed many additional items. After a week of back and forth, we still hadn't gotten the documents. 1. I think they're deliberately making things difficult for us, Lin Xiaoyu said, feeling discouraged. What if we start our business elsewhere? No way, I said firmly. If we back down now, what will we do when we face difficulties in the future? Besides, running a business is never easy. If we're scared off by such minor obstacles, then we might as well not do it at all. What should we do then? I thought for a moment. I'll go find Jing Hao. Zhang Hao is a graduate student at Jing University, and his family seems to have some connections. Maybe he can help us figure something out. I went to Jing University, asked around, and eventually found Jing Hao's dormitory. Suwan Wanga looked surprised to see me. Why are you here? I explained the situation to him. So that's how it is. Jing Hao thought for a moment. I do know a friend at the Industry and Commerce Bureau who can help you inquire about the situation. Really? Thank you so much. You're welcome. Friends should help each other. Jing Hao smiled. But Wan, it's really not easy for a girl to do business. Have you considered finding a partner? I was intrigued. You mean I'm also very interested in the clothing business? If you don't mind, I can invest. I may not have a lot of money, but I have some connections that can help you solve some difficulties. Jing Hao said. This was indeed a good suggestion in this era. Doing business really required some connections. I need to discuss this with my partner. I said. Of course. Take your time to consider. Jian Hao said. I'll go to the Administration for Industry and Commerce first to inquire about the situation. 2 days later, Jing Hao brought news. There really is someone behind the scenes causing trouble. He said, a friend at the Administration for Industry and Commerce told me that someone has reported you for illegal business operations, and the background of the complainant is not simple. What background? I asked. Someone from the military region, Jing Hao said. I don't know exactly who, but they definitely have some power. I sneered inwardly. It was indeed Xinhang Zan. What should we do then? Lin Xiao asked worriedly. Don't worry. Now that we know what's going on, it'll be easier to handle. Jing Hao said. My dad works in the municipal government. I can ask him to help mediate. Would that cause trouble for you? I was a bit concerned. No, it won't. This is legitimate business after all. There's nothing to worry about, Jing Hao said, and my dad has always supported individual entrepreneurship. He thinks it's a good thing for reform. And opening up, with Jing Hao's help, our business license was quickly processed, and Zhang Hao also decided to invest in our business, putting in 5,000 yuan for a 20% stake. With this 5,000 yuan, we can expand our operations. Lin Xiaoyu excitedly said. We can rent a storefront and hire a few more tailor. I was also happy, but more than that, I felt a sense of accomplishment. Xinhang Shan wanted to undermine me, but instead, he ended up making my business even bigger. With a business license and ample funding, our business grew rapidly. We rented a small shop on Wang Fujing Street, the busiest area in the capital. Though it was only 20 square meters, the location was excellent. The shop was decorated in a simple and fashionable style with our latest designs displayed in the window on the first day of opening. Many people were attracted to the store. These clothes are so beautiful. The style is so innovative. The color is so gorgeous. The customers' compliments were endless, and I felt very satisfied. What made me even happier was that our clothing began to gain a small reputation in the capital. Some fashionable young women came to our shop specifically to buy clothes, and even some came from out of town. Boss Sue, when will you have new designs available? A regular customer asked. Soon. We'll have new designs coming out next month, I replied with a smile. At this moment, Hao walked in from outside. Business is good, he said with a smile, looking at the bustling scene in the shop. Thanks to you, I said, gratefully. Don't say that. It's all your merit. Zhang Hao said. Oh, I have good news to tell you. What's the good news? Lin Xiao asked curiously. There's a clothing exhibition in Shanghai, and they've invited us to participate, Zhang Hao said, taking out an invitation letter. It's a great opportunity to expand our visibility. I took the invitation letter and looked at it. It was indeed a good opportunity. When is it? I asked. Mid-next month. For 3 days. Hango said. I've already signed you up. Just as we were discussing the trade fair, a few unexpected guests appeared at the shop entrance. Shanhen Shan Linxia, and 2 middle-aged men I didn't recognize. One of the men was wearing a Zhongshan suit looking like a leader. The other was in military attire, and the rank on his shoulder indicated he was a colonel. Su Wan Wan Shanhen Shan walked into the shop, his face dark. Shinheng Shan. I looked at him calmly. Is there something you need? I came to see how your business is doing. Shinheng Zhen's tone was laced with sarcasm. Seems to be going well. Ha! Thanks to you. I replied coldly. The man in the Chinese tunic suit stepped forward. Is this Comrade Su Wanjian? Yes, I am. I looked at him. And you are? I am Director Wang from the Market Supervision Bureau. The middle-aged man produced his work ID. Today, I'm here to inspect your business operations. My heart sank. Here we go again. But this time, I had experience, and wouldn't panic like last time. Please check. I took out the business license. All our procedures are complete. Director Wang took the business license and looked it over, finding no issues. The procedures are complete, but we've received a complaint that the quality of your clothing is problematic. Director Wang said. What quality issues? I asked. Some customers have reported that they had allergic reactions after wearing your clothes. Director Wang said. We need to conduct a random inspection of your products. I knew this was another scheme by Shinheng Shan, but I couldn't let him succeed. An inspection is fine, but please present official inspection documents. I said, and the inspection must be conducted according to standard procedures. Director Wang didn't expect me to say that, which took him by surprise. At this moment, Jehoa stepped forward, esteemed leader. I am a graduate student in the law department of Jingqing University, and I am also a shareholder of this shop. Zhang Hao said, producing his student ID. Do you have official inspection documents? Director Wang's expression darkened. Young comrade, we are conducting the inspection according to the law. Please show the documents. Jin Ho said calmly. If there are no official documents, we have the right to refuse the inspection. The colonel in military uniform spoke up at this moment. Kid, don't push your luck. Director Wang personally coming to inspect is already giving you face. Esteemed leader, no matter what your rank is, you must act according to the law. Zhang Hao stood his ground. If you insist on conducting a forced inspection, please show the documents first. The colonel was left, speechless by Jin He's words. Shinheng Zhen stepped forward at this moment. Su Wanwan, if you know what's good for you, cooperate with the inspection, and don't make trouble for yourself. Shinheng Shan, what do you mean by that? I looked at him coldly. Do you think I'm still the Su Wanwan who let you bully before you? Shinheng Shan was angered by my words. At that moment, a large group of people suddenly arrived outside the shop. I took a closer look and saw that they were law enforcement officers from the industry and Commerce Bureau, a total of over a dozen of them. It seems that Shinheng Shan is determined today to ruin my business. But I'm not afraid. I'll face the challenge head-on. The law enforcement officers from the industry and Commerce Bureau surrounded the shop so tightly that it attracted a large crowd of onlookers. What's going on? What's wrong with the store? The crowd was growing larger, and I knew that if this wasn't handled properly, it would seriously damage our reputation. Leaders, if you want to inspect, please show official documents. I said loudly, we operate legally and are not afraid of any inspections. Director Wang was put in an awkward position by me and had no choice but to take out a document. This is the inspection notice. Jin Hoa took the document, carefully examined it, and then nodded at me. The document is genuine. We will cooperate with the inspection. Jin Hao whispered to me, but they must follow the proper procedures. Okay, I said to the industrial and commercial staff, please inspect according to the formal procedures, and we will fully cooperate. The inspection began, and the industrial and commercial staff took samples of our clothing to be sent to the quality inspection department for testing. When will the test results be available? I asked. About a week. Director Wang said, you will suspend business operations until the test results are out. Why do we need to suspend business? I disagreed. We have a business license. We have a certificate of compliance. Why should we suspend business? Just because someone reported that your products have quality issues. Director Wang said firmly. Who is the whistleblower? Jin Hao asked. Please present the complaint materials. Director Wang glanced at Xinhang Shan. This cannot be disclosed. Then we do not agree to suspend operations. I insisted. Unless the inspection results prove that our products are indeed problematic. The two sides became deadlocked. At that moment, a voice came from the crowd. I can testify. A young girl squeezed through. And it was our regular customer, Shirao Zhang. I bought many clothes from this store. And they've all been of good quality, never causing any allergic reactions. Shirao Zhang said loudly. That's right. I've bought from here. Too. Me too. The quality of the clothes in this store is excellent. Among the onlookers, many were our customers who stepped forward to vouch for us. Director Wang's expression grew increasingly grim. Shen Heng's and hadn't anticipated this situation, and furrowed his brow deeply. No matter what, you must suspend operations until the test results come out. Director Wang said firmly. I disagree. I said resolutely. If you want to force a shutdown, please show the legal basis. Su Wanwan Shanhen Shan finally couldn't hold back. Don't push your luck. Xinhang Zhen. Who do you think you are? I was furious. What does my business have to do with you? Yu Shanhen Shan was enraged by my words, and stepped forward to strike. Zhang Hao immediately stood in front of me. Comrade Shen, please calm down. Move aside. Xinhang Shan pushed Zhang Hao. Zhanga did not yield. Comrade Shen, there are so many people watching here. Are you sure you want to resort to violence? At that moment, another voice came from the crowd. Make way! Make way! A middle-aged man in a cadre's uniform squeezed through, and I recognized him as Director Zhang. Gina's father. What's going on? Director Zhang asked. Ha quickly explained the situation. Director Xiang's expression turned grim after listening. Director Wang. Such matters should be investigated thoroughly before taking action. Director Zhang said. There is no evidence proving their products are problematic yet. So, is it appropriate to demand a suspension of business operations? Director Zhang. We are acting in accordance with the law. Director Wang sounded somewhat nervous. Acting in accordance with the law. Director Zhang interrupted him. Then, please tell me which legal provision allows for forcing businesses to cease operations without solid evidence. Director Wang was left speechless. Moreover, Director Zhang continued, I just heard from the onlookers that the quality of the clothing in this store has always been excellent, and there have never been any issues. Isn't it strange that someone would suddenly file a complaint in this situation? Xinhang Zhen's expression changed. He hadn't expected Director Zhang to show up. Director Zhang. The colonel spoke up at this point. This matter involves consumer safety, and we must handle it with caution. Colonel Li, you're right. We do need to handle this cautiously. Director Zhang looked at the colonel. But being cautious doesn't mean handling it recklessly. There's no evidence proving the issue exists. Yet you're demanding they shut down. Is that being cautious? Colonel Li was left speechless by the question. Here's my suggestion. Director Zhang said. Sampling tests can be conducted, but shutting down shouldn't be demanded. Wait for the test results. If there really is a problem, then handle it according to legal procedures. If there's no issue, then the merchants should be given an apology. Director Xiang's words were logical and well-founded, and everyone present nodded in agreement. Director Wang looked at Xinhang Shan, then at Director Zhang, and finally could only say, Then let's do as Director Zhang suggested. The matter was finally resolved, and the industrial and commercial personnel left. The onlookers gradually dispersed, and many encouraged us as they left. Little girl, keep it up. Your clothes are great, and we support you. Don't let the bad guys bully you. Seeing these kind people, I felt very warm inside. After the staff from the Bureau of Industry and Commerce left, I expressed my gratitude to Director Zhang. Uncle Zhang, thank you so much today. You're welcome. I'm just being realistic. Director Zhang said. But Wan, you need to be careful. Someone clearly wants to get you. I know. I glanced at Xinhang Shan. But I'm not afraid. Xinhang Shan, and Lin Xia had already slunk away with Shan Hen Shan shooting me a venomous glare before leaving. But I didn't care since we had already completely torn apart a week later. The inspection results came out, and our clothing quality was fully qualified with no issues. Director Wang, as promised, publicly apologized to us and admitted to negligence in his work. This incident unexpectedly became free advertising for us, and many people became aware of our shop, leading to better business. 1-1. I think we should seize this opportunity and strike while the iron is hot, Lin Xiaoyu said excitedly. What do you think about opening a branch? It's worth considering. I nodded, but we need to find the right location. I have an idea, Zhang Hao said. We could consider a franchise model where others invest to open the stores, and we provide the supply and technical guidance. This idea was very forward-looking, and I was immediately drawn to it. This idea is good. We can try it. Just as we were discussing expansion plans, Shin's mother suddenly fell critically ill. The news was told to me by Jin Hao, who heard it from a friend in the military region. 1-1. Are you going to go see her? Lin Xiaoyu asked. I thought about it and said, let's go take a look. After all, we've been in-laws for 3 years. When we arrived at the hospital, I saw Xinhang Shan sitting by the bedside looking haggard. Lin Xia was also there taking care of Shin's mother. Seeing me come in, Xinhang Shan was momentarily stunned. Why are you here? I came to see Auntie. I walked to the bedside. How is Auntie doing? Auntie Shin was already very weak, but she still managed to open her eyes when she saw me. 1-1. You're here, she said weakly. Auntie, please rest well, I said. 1-1. I need to talk to you, Shin's mother said with difficulty. I moved closer. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Shin's mother's voice was very soft. I was not good to you before. I felt a pang in my heart. Auntie, please don't say that. Han, he's immature. Don't blame him. Aunt Shin clutched my hand. You two remarry. I glanced at Xinhang Shan, who was nervously watching me. Auntie, take good care of your health, and don't think too much. I avoided giving a direct answer. Mrs. Shan was about to say something, but the doctor came in. The patient needs rest, and we don't want to. Many family members here, the doctor said. I got up to leave. Su Wanwan. Xinhang Shan called out to me. What is it? Come out and talk. I followed him out to the corridor outside the ward. My mother's illness. It's very serious. Xinhang's voice choked up. The doctor said, it might be just a few days now. I was silent for a moment. I'm sorry for your loss. 1-1. I want to remarry you, Shan Hen Shan suddenly said. I looked at him. Why? My mother. She has always hoped we would remarry, Xinhang's said. Now that she's not doing well, I want to fulfill her wish. Just to fulfill her wish. I asked. Shan Hen Shan was silent for a moment. Not entirely. 1-1. I've thought a lot during this time, and I realized I can't live without you. Is that so? I let out a cold laugh. What about Lin Xia? Xia, we're just friends, Xinhang Shan said. Friends? I pointed to Lin Xia, who was taking care of Shun's mother in the ward. Do friends take such meticulous care of your mother? Xinhang Shan had nothing to say. Xinhang Shan, we can remarry, I said calmly. It's not out of anger or spite, but because we're fundamentally incompatible. Why not compatible? Xinhang Shan was anxious. Didn't we live pretty well before? Well, I retorted, in 3 years of marriage. What part did you think was good? Xinhang Shan was left speechless by the question. Forget it. All that is in the past, I said. I hope Auntie can leave peacefully, and I won't cause her any more trouble. But don't even think about remarrying. After saying that, I turned and walked away. Suwon Shan Shan called out behind me. You'll regret this. I didn't look back, my steps only growing firmer. Regret. The one who truly regretted it was me. And my previous life. This life. I will no longer wrong myself for anyone. Shun's mother passed away on the 3rd day. I attended her funeral, marking my final farewell to this marriage. At the funeral, Shan Shan kept looking at me, his eyes filled with complex emotions. But my heart was as calm as still water, no longer swayed by his gaze. After the funeral, I threw myself into the expansion of my business. Our franchise model was very successful, And within just 3 months, we had developed 10 franchise stores spread across various areas of the capital. We also began to venture into other cities with partners in Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen. Wanwan. We are now a small but famous clothing brand. Lin. Xiaoyu said excitedly. Who would have thought that a year ago we were just 2 street vendors? Indeed, the change is too big. Now we are already somewhat famous in the Beijing business world, and media often come to interview us about our entrepreneurial story. I was also named Outstanding Female Entrepreneur of the Year, and even made it into the newspapers. What made me even happier was that my relationship with Jean Hao was gradually developing. He was a wonderful man, gentle and kind, talented and ambitious, completely different from Xinhang's and Wanwan. I have something I want to tell you. That evening, Zhang Hao invited me out for a walk. What is it? I asked. I want to pursue you, Zhang Hao said nervously. I know you've just divorced and might not be ready to start a new relationship yet, but I want you to know how I feel. I stopped walking and looked at him in the moonlight. His face looked exceptionally handsome, his eyes full of sincerity. Zhang Hao, I said. You don't have to give me an answer right now. Hao quickly said. I can wait until the day you're ready. I was touched by his sincerity. All right, I will consider it seriously, I said. From then on, Jean Hao treated me even more considerately, but never pressed for anything, always putting my feelings first. This feeling of being cherished was something I had never experienced with Shan. Half a year later, our clothing brand had grown to over 100 franchise stores spread across major cities nationwide. We had evolved from a small workshop into a formal clothing company, complete with our own design team and production base. Our annual turnover exceeded 10 million, an astonishing figure in the early 1980s. I also transformed from an ordinary country girl into a successful female entrepreneur. That day, I was in my office handling documents when my secretary suddenly came in to report, Miss Su, there's a Mr. Shan outside who wants to see you. My heart skipped a beat. Let him in. Xinhang Shan entered the office, looking much more haggard than he had a year ago. What do you need from me? I asked calmly, setting down the documents in my hand. Wanwan Xinhang Zan's voice choked up. I've come to apologize to you. Apologize? I was somewhat surprised. Yes, for my past mistreatment of you, for my selfishness and coldness, Shan said. Over the past year, I've thought a lot, and I realized I was wrong. Terribly wrong. I listened quietly without saying a word. Wanwan, let's remarry, Shan said. I promise to treat you well from now on. Never like before. Xinhang Shan, do you think we can go back to how things were? I asked. Why not? Xinhang Shan said urgently. We once loved each other. We can start over. Love each other. I laughed. Xinhang Shan, when did we ever love each other? Xinhang Shan was taken back by my question. Our marriage was a mistake from the very beginning. I stood up and walked to the window. You married me not out of love, but because it was convenient. I married you not out of love, but out of admiration. How could such a marriage ever be happy? But things are different now, Shan said. It really is different. I turned to look at him. I am no longer the humble Sue one of back then. I have my own career, my own life, and I don't need to rely on anyone. Wanwan, you've changed, Shan said. Yes, I've changed. I nodded. I've become independent, confident, and no longer need a man to define my worth. Xinhang Zan's face turned very grim. So, do you have someone you like now? He asked. I thought of Jean Hao, his gentle smile, and sincere eyes. Yes, I answered calmly. Xinhang Shan was struck as if by lightning, his face turning pale instantly. Is it that Zhang guy? He asked through gritted teeth. It's none of your business, I said coldly. Shan, it's over between us. Please don't interfere with my life anymore. Suwon Shan said angrily. You will regret this. I've already regretted once. I replied calmly. That was when I married you. This lifetime, I won't regret again. Xinheng Shan stared at me in silence, and finally, without saying a word, he turned and left, watching his retreating figure. I felt no ripple in my heart. The man who once filled me with so much love is now nothing to me. I picked up the phone and dialed Jang He's number. How? Do you have time tonight? Yes. What's up? I want to see you. I have something to tell you. All right. I'll be right over. After hanging up the phone, I looked at the sunset outside the window, feeling an unprecedented sense of ease. This life, I will live for myself and be with those who truly love me. Shinhang Shan, thank you for the fake divorce which allowed me to rediscover myself after hearing the stories above. What are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comment section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you like this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.